that a little bit about different programs that you all are interested in. One of the things that we all tend to have in common in life is everyone has a place that they start, and everybody pretty much has an area that they're trying to get to. And so what you have to figure out in life is where I am, where I'm trying to go, and what vehicle I need to help me get there. For school, for students in school, money is always an important factor. And unless you have a rich family, or if you hit the lottery, or you have a lot of money sitting around in the bank, finances are an important issue. Because as you go through your life planning your school, you have to determine whether or not you want to take out student loans, get scholarships, grants, what type of things you want to do to prepare yourself for going off into school. And nothing is worse than finishing school, completing your education, and starting out severely in debt. And so what I'd like to do tonight is talk to you about a few scholarship programs that the military has available that could possibly help you fund your education and also do some time back in the military. Any relationship is a give and take relationship. And so yes, the military can help you pay your way through school, give you some financial money, but at the same time, you'd be obligated to do some service time back in exchange to give the military something back once they train you, and pay for your training, give us some of your experience back in return, and that's the way the give and take relationship works. One of the programs available is the Health Professional Scholarship Program. This program is offered to dental, medical, PA, optometry, podiatry, and clinical psychology students. The way this program works is there is available a $20,000 sign-on bonus that's optional. The school pays for all of your tuition, all of your books, all of your fees. If the school has medical insurance that it requires you to have, then it pays for that as well. You also receive a $2,060 a month stipend that you can use in any way that you like. And the good thing about that is most of the time when we come and do these presentations, students always come to eat because they're living off ramen noodles. They're living frugally because you're having to take out loans and do all of this stuff. So sometimes people have to have part-time jobs or two, and you're doing all that you can to get all the money that you can to pay for your school. So by all of your tuition being taken care of, all your books, all your fees, everything, and then giving you an extra $2,000 in your pocket, it allows you to eat something other than ramen noodles, to focus all your time and attention on your studies and not have to worry about if you're going to be able to pay for the next semester or not. You're commissioned as an ensign in RRR, and that's a reserve component, which means during the time that you're in school, you're not having to worry about a military uniform, you're not having to drill or do anything with the military. You're reserved, your job is to go to school and get your degree, become a physician, become a dentist, whatever it is that you're in school for under this program. That's your primary concern.
What are your chances of being called up while you're in school?
No chance.
Not at all.
No, what we call you to do.
So
because you're not trained yet. You're not trained yet. So what we'd be using you for, to be a physician, you're not qualified yet because you're not done. So we wouldn't call you because you wouldn't be qualified to go.
Okay. So it is more of a nominal title then?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, because you're in a program in the military, and so you belong to us. So you get a title, you get a name, so you're called something. So it's just ready reserved, and that's an inactive component. That's why it's IRR. It's an inactive component. It doesn't do anything. It just keep track of you. There's 45 days of paid active duty time a year, and what that time is in between your second and third year and your third and fourth year, you have an opportunity to go to those commands that you may go and do your residency programs at. You go to those commands, do some training, meet people in person so that later on when you have to apply for residencies and go interview, then you've actually had some face time, had an opportunity to maybe meet somebody, impress on somebody, and then you're not having to go before a total stranger because they kind of know you, you kind of know them. Yes, ma'am?
What about for PAs? So since PA school's only about like a little over 2 years, when would you go to do that?
What do you mean?
Like, are you talking about med school, like between your second and third year? Like PA school's
yes.
only, what, 27 months, I think? So I'm just wondering like when you might go if you're doing
Well,
that?
PA school is a little different than medical school. Once you get into PA school and you've been accepted into PA school, you don't have to go for a residency. So that, you know, so these programs are all inclusive. All these programs can apply for this. So when I give out information, it's basically, and that's a good point, what applies to your program in particular. So if you have any questions, feel free to ask. It's a 3-year minimum obligation. And what that means is that if you apply for a program, if you apply for this HPSP scholarship, and you do it in your second year, your 3rd year of school, you only have 2 years of school left. It's a minimum 3-year obligation. So you still have to do the 3 years. If you do it during the last 2 years, you still get the 3-year obligation, but if you also take the $20,000 sign-on bonus, then you buy a 4-year obligation. Otherwise, the program is year for year. So if you do the whole four years of school, then you got 4-year obligation. Make sense? The only way that's different is when we start talking about the matches. When we talk about matches for residency, if you get into a residency that's greater than 4 years, then for however many years over that 4 years your residency is, you will also owe for those additional years. So if you get a 7-year residency and you went for 4 years, then you owe additional 3 years for the 3 more years of the residency beyond the basic 4 years. Does that make sense? Is that confusing anybody? Okay. Once you get commissioned, you're commissioned as an active duty lieutenant for a doctorate degree. For a physician assistant would be a master's degree, and you'd be commissioned as a lieutenant junior grade. As far as what the pay equates to, I can tell you that if you look on mypay.com, there's a military pay scale, and what would happen is if you all starting out bottom with no experience in the HPSP program, it would be less than 2 years of military time once you get commissioned. So it would just be a lieutenant in 03, less than 2 years. And so that's the base pay. Now the good thing about the military, not only do you get your base pay, you also get something called BAS. It's $223 a month that you get for food, just grocery money for you to active duty member. They also give you basic allowance for quarters, something that's called BAQ. And what BAQ is money for housing. It's also non-taxable. And that the amount of BAQ changes based on where you live, what the cost of living is in that area, and what rank you are. So those items are in addition to your base pay. And that is after you are commissioned once school is over. Okay? During the summer, once the program is over and you finish school during the summer, you'll be paid as an active duty person and be required to go to Officer Development School. Officer Development School is 5 weeks long, and it's in Newport, Rhode Island, and it's not boot camp. It is the officers' version of such. Officers enlisted go to boot camp. Officers go to either officer candidate school if they're in non-medical programs, or officer development school in medical programs. And it's 5 weeks long in Newport, Rhode Island. You have to do a 1.5 mile run. You do sit-ups, you do push-ups. You have to do physical fitness. You learn how to wear your uniform. You learn about etiquette of being in the military, leadership, marching, drilling, just kind of to transition you out of the civilian mindset and into the military mindset, teaching you when to salute, how to wear your, all of those basic things that you wouldn't otherwise know. Any questions about that? Okay, let's talk about matching. Okay, when you go to medical school, the first year in medical school is mainly your class time. Mainly class time. When you go to year 2 of medical school, you will be taking your exams. And I'm going to read the title of the 2 different exams. It's the United States Medical Licensure Exam, and those are for a medical doctor, MD students. And the other one is the Comprehensive Osteopathic Medical Exam, and those for DO schools, people that want to go to those schools. And so that would be in your second year of school. Then in your 3rd year, you take step 2 of those exams. the combination of those two exams would be the scores that they'd be looking at to match you for your residency programs, to see how well you score, to look at you for residency programs. And what basically happens is that the Navy does matching in December, and civilian programs match in February and March timeframe. And it's not a really large separation of time, but it is enough time that it allows you to match for whatever it is that you're interested in doing in the military. And if you don't get selected for the program that you're trying to select for, in some cases the military will allow people, if, say for instance, you're trying to go for something and there's only 2 slots for that particular thing, and they're taking their top 2 people for that program. If the military really wanted you and wanted you to do that specialty and you weren't able to get in it, not because you weren't good enough, but just because you didn't get selected and it was only 2 slots, in some cases they will allow someone to go to a civilian program. And you have an opportunity to try to match on the outside and get into a similar program through the civilian. And if the military sends you and allows you to go, then they will pay you and allow you to hold your rank and go on the outside. In some cases, we have people that don't get selected for the program that they want, and then they don't want to scramble and look for another program. They want to go to the outside and do their specific program. And when they want to go to the outside and do their own, if the military allows them to go, they'll do it with that person being considered a reservist. And so they won't be getting paid. They'll be doing it in a reserve status. And they won't get paid until after they finish their residency. But why would you want to do that if you can get paid while you're in the program? Now, the military residency programs, because you're active duty in the military, you make about $70,000 a year. Most civilian residencies pay about $40,000 to $45,000 a year. So it's a big difference in pay right out of the bat. Plus, you're already getting experience in the military environment, working in the same hospitals and same communities, same people that you'll be working with after you finish your program and get assigned. Any questions about that? Okay. The other program that I was talking about is called the Health Services Collegiate Program. All of our programs are first come, first served, best qualified. So if you apply for a program, this particular program, the HPSP program, and you didn't get selected for the program, you could be eligible for this second program that I'm mentioning. It's the Health Services Collegiate Program. And this program does not pay tuition. But this program is good for a lot of active duty people do this program because it's good. It pays medical benefits, it pays dental benefits, and it pays you as if you were enlisted as an E6 in the military. So you get an ID card, you become active duty E6 military, and you get $45,743 a year, and that's your pay. You get paid the 1st and the 15th like any other active duty member. Now what that means is that although your tuition is not paid for, you can still live frugally like everybody else, and when you get paid, you can use your money to pay your tuition. If you refer a friend into the program, or if you are on the dean's list 2 semesters in a row, then you get promoted to E7. And the E7 pay is $49,451 a year. And the same thing applies. You can use that money to pay your tuition even though the program doesn't pay your tuition. The benefit to this particular program is when you enroll in the program, if you're married, if you have children, automatically your wife, your husband, your children are covered medical and dental benefits just as if you were active duty like anybody else that is in the active duty military. Wherein the first program does pay everything, but it only covers you for medical if your school requires medical for you. And it doesn't do anything for your family members. The HSCP pays for everybody.
Under the HPSP program, when do you get your military ID and your medical coverage, stuff like that?
Well, the military ID, I'm not sure when that's issued. If you give me your information, I can call you and let you know that information, because I'm fairly new at this, so I'm not really sure when that is issued. But as far as the medical coverage, that's part of the program.